Hello Summoners and welcome back to the GPL 2014 Summer Split. My name is Wolf and on the casting table alongside me tonight is Chris.
That's right, and for the second match for tonight, it's going to be AHQ Fighters AHQ Fighters going up against the Taipei Assassins, probably one of the more anticipated starting games for the Summer Split.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's the most anticipated starting game, I believe, for the Summer Split.
Okay, maybe the most.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the groups, it's today is the clash of the Taiwanese teams.
Oh yeah, right, fair enough.
Game number 2, which is the game that you'll be getting into later, it's going to be Fighters against TPA. Game number 3 is going to be AHQ up against Machi Esports. So the Taiwanese teams will have the opportunity to face their counterparts, face their regional counterparts immediately in day number 1, week number 1.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, we have sort of had a little preview talk about AHQ Fighters, and for those of you who have sort of missed it, AHQ Fighters, they are one of the new Taiwanese teams coming back into the GPL after qualifying with the Taiwanese promotional tournaments, and of course, they are the sister team for AHQ Esports Club, and we will be seeing some familiar faces from Mr. Elvis and with Lancer as well. We have not seen him for a while because
we haven't.
Yeah, because he was busy preparing, setting up this new team, and finally they have broken through the promotional tournaments and they are in the GPL, facing up against the Taipei Assassins.
The veterans, the true veterans.
The true veterans on multiple occasions have gone to the grand finals, and they are the defending champions for both the winter split and as well as the spring split. So let's see if they can go all the way and be the consecutive champions. Yeah,
but before we go to picks and bans, I really want to make a public service announcement there to all Azubu Taipei Assassin Chowie fans. Oh. He's not in the starting lineup for this match, so we're not going to see him just yet. Don't know when he'll make his GPL debut with the Taipei Assassins, but it's not this game, definitely. So it's going to be the team that we are all too familiar with wins in the jungle, of course, and in the mid lane being played by Morning.
Yeah, and this is the lineup that has sort of come true after the Intel Extreme Masters and, of course, in the All-Stars as well. So I was about to say that Taipei Assassins, together with AHQ, are the only two teams that have not had any changes to their starting lineups. And then I remembered that Wins was previously from Taipei Snipers.
Yes.
And then he has now switched over to the Taipei Assassins.
That's right. So I think the last time we saw the Assassins play was during the All-Star tournament, and well, they didn't really. I mean, based on results, they didn't really fare up against the international scene. But let's see if having even more stronger contenders now this split with the addition of AHQ Fighters and a few new bloods from Rebirth and the newly invigorated Legends team, and of course Saigon Jokers, Saigon Fantastic 5, all these teams coming in, I do expect them to be kind of pressed to retain their title once again. I mean, it's not going to be easy for them to do so, and I think taking the first step into the Garena Premier League Week 1 Day number 1 match against AHQ Fighters will be a apt test of how well they have fared ever since the All-Star tournament.
Right, that's a very fair statement, and of course the pressure is on them as well, because if you're playing back to the spring split, they were out of the group stages in a 10-0 fashion.
Perfect run.
Undefeated during the group stages, and then going over to the quarterfinals, round of 8s, and then round of 4s, and then finally into the grand finals, and then had a very great showing against AHQ Esports Club to finally beating them and then retaining that championship title for themselves. So a lot has changed ever since they were playing in the finals, and they were primarily known to be the team that really favors mobility, and they have played very well to that extent. But right now we are in a meta where that is not the key factor to winning games, because if you look back in the past when these teams were still playing with each other, most of the supports will rush for the medallion and then go straight for the Talisman of Ascension. But right now we don't see a lot of Talisman of Ascension.
Now it's a Frost Screen claim support.
Yeah, Frost Screen claims, Face of the Mountains.
Early game impact junglers, utility mages have been coming back a little bit more, and like you said, a very different meta game. We'll see what new innovations Azubu Taipei Assassins or even AHQ Fighters can bring, and you're kind of talking about a few interesting picks from the Fighters and interesting picks from the other teams as well in the region. You want to talk about that before we actually get into pick and ban?
Yeah, so while we are waiting for the picks and bans to get underway, just to quickly recap on HQ Fighters for those who do not know them as of yet. And for them, we have talked about, their sister teams for HQ Esports Club, but that's not the only reason why you should watch out for them. And I think that big factor is because of the top laner. He has a very unique champion pool per se. He doesn't like to play the flavor of the month. He doesn't play a fair bit of Jax. He doesn't like to play Aurelia. He doesn't like to play Shyvana. But instead, he likes to play champions like Malphite and champions like Fiora. So I think that is something that I will look forward to in this game. And his Fiora pick was the pick that led them to the success when they fought off against Taipei Snipers in the Taiwanese promotional.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about it. I originally thought that his Fiora's pick percentage, win rate on Fiora was less than 50%, but you kind of corrected me on that one. I think it's somewhere around the 60% range.
Yeah, well, two out of 3 games, so 66.66 Infinity percentage.
Okay, so out of the 3 games that he played on the Fiora, so he won 2, lost 1.
Yeah.
And he really shows very strong mastery of that champion, and the amount of burst damage Fiora can bring in the early game, especially the dueling potential she has in the solo lane, is extremely high. And I noticed, especially when he plays against other top laners in the Taiwanese region, they get caught off guard by the amount of damage Blade Waltz can actually do, and they just get completely bursted down. Either that or Fiora goes low, she uses Blade Waltz, and then, oh, I'm back up to 3/4 my health. Time to duel you once again.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to seeing that happen. We'll love to see if they lock that in for themselves. And for Malphite as well, a very famous AHQ combo together with Pantheon with the Unstoppable Skyfall. Yeah, something that
coined by dear Obscurica himself.
Yeah, our dear friend with Riot Games, he writes about this stuff here. And of course, we have the returning members from Lantier and Albis as well. Lantier has been a veteran, haven't seen him for a while now. I think he took one entire split to prepare.
Exciting part about this is that we're gonna watch Lantier face off against Wins, I believe, for the first time in the GPL.
Oh man, yes, that's right. So he is, he's probably the one that says, I'm gonna take a break. You guys can sort of polish up your jungling skills, and I'm now back to reclaim the throne of the best jungler in Southeast Asia.
And speaking about throwback matchups, we're gonna see Mr. Albis face off against Morning once again in the GPL, and this is something that, because Mr. Albis used to be the mainstay mid laner for AHQ Esports Club, now helming the captain's role, I believe, of AHQ Fighters, he's gonna kind of try to pit himself against Morning once more, and I don't think Morning's gonna back on from that mid lane role, and the fact is that the synergy between Lantier and Mr. Albis is really top-notch in the Taiwanese region. Additionally, the synergy that Wins have with practically everyone on the team, the fact that he's so aggressive and makes such aggressive movements in the jungle and on the map, will kind of throw a wrench in the workings of how AHQ Fighters like to play. They like to play extremely aggressive, they like to go for pick comps. I expect to see those pick comps come out from AHQ Fighters, and following which, I do expect them to try to put as much pressure onto Morning and on Wins as possible, especially with the 2 star players of Fighters being Lantier and Mr. Albis.
Yep, and I think something that we can look forward to is from the bottom lane for AHQ Fighters as well. RDS and Isera, the ADC and support respectively, have very good performances so far in the Taiwanese promotional tournament. For RD, he has a average KDA of 7.5 a game, and for Isera is 6.94, and they're currently holding on to the highest KDA for the entire team. And for RD, we were kind of discussing about it in the pregame itself. He's a very strong AD carry, but the thing about him is that he can pretty much perform on Flavor of the Month AD carries. So
only on Flavor of the Month AD carries.
Yeah, so let's see if that's going to change, because right now they are playing on the big stage together with the big boys on the regional stage. So let's see if that's going to change. As we finally proceed on to the picks and bans over here, AHQ Fighter is going to start off in the blue side, Taipei Assassins on the red team. Quick fire bans coming out. Kassadin banned out from HQ Fighters actually.
Don't want to give Morning that one.
Yep. Jax and Gragas being banned away from the Taipei Assassins. Yeah, I mean Jax is
a standard ban. Yeah. Gragas though, something interesting.
Are we in patch 4.5?
No, we're not in patch 4.5.
Oh,
we are on patch 4.8. And note, the global bans, the champions have been disabled are Shen, Zed, Rengar, and I believe it's Braum. So we won't be seeing them for week 1 of the GPL. Final ban coming out from AHQ Fighter is going to be Nidalee and of course thresh on the side of Azubu Taipei Assassin. So let's see what HQ Fighters decides to prioritize as their first pick. I'm going to guess it's going to be the AD carry for RD, possibly even the mid lane from Mr. Albis.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do decide to pick up for themselves.
I think that it's possibly a Lulu pick for HQ Fighter because of the amount of flexibility that you provide to the team. And for Mr. Albis, he has played 2 games of Lulu in the Taiwanese promotional tournament as well. But the better thing for them, if they lock in the Lulu, is going to be crippling that away from Burning, who has played a fair share of Lulu in his time in the Garena Premier League. And combo that up with wins as well. Back then, it was Dinter who they sort of made very famous with this Evelyn and Lulu dual composition. So let's see what's the decision here. They are taking their time to think about it, and who can blame them? You know, they are fighting against the defending champions, and they should have all the time to consider about their first pick.
There we go. Oh, it's actually a support pick for Ysera here. So they want to go with that very safe support in the bot lane in form of Morgana. And wow, these hovers here from the Azubu Taipei Assassins going with the Lee Sin for win. Something I'm not surprised with, but this Hecarim though, if they lock it in, is it going to be a top lane Hecarim? Horsey in the top lane?
Yeah, I would love to see that happen.
Something new.
Something new as well. I believe, even though that it's something that we haven't seen a whole lot of in the competitive scene. Oh well.
Oh,
I was about to talk about it, but I dodged the bullet there.
yes,
so it's
you
gonna
did.
be
Lulu. Then you predicted that HQ Fighters will decide to first play because of her versatility and utility that she provides to the team. Azubu Taipei Assassins here will want to snatch that one up. HQ Fighters though, won't be surprised with the Elise pick.
Yeah, so you know, for Lanta defaulting back to something that he has played a fair bit of in the Winter Split, but surprisingly hasn't played any Elise games yet in the promotional tournament. So it's going to be, you know, something that he is bringing out of the closet and something that he will be quite comfortable with. And for RD bringing out Twitch, he has played 3 games of Twitch in the 10 games in a promotional tournament.
I believe against the Fighters, Twitch is one of the most banned out champions against them as well.
That's right. So, you know, for Taipei Assassins to leave that open, and now that with the Morgana locked in as well, so they have a very nice protection, crowd control protection for RD down the bottom mid. So I think they are going to be quite contented with that. I think we might just see the Lucian respawn come out from Taipei Assassins.
There we go. Lucian being locked in here by BB. You're on the mark once again, Chris. Morning now, will he be playing Lulu? I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I do expect them to kind of pick the support here now for the Azubu Taipei Assassins, leaving RG's top lane pick to last to see what HQ Fighters decides to pick up. What will be a good support against a Twitch Morgana lane when you know you have a Lucian as an AD carry now?
Well, we might see the Nami come into play here, or even the Sona. We have seen the resurgence of Sona in the competitive scene. But I think Jay is just going to stick to his guns here and pick something like a Nami. And what I really like about Taipei Assassins right now in this pick and ban phase is that we have seen Archie play a fair bit of Lee Sin as well. So they do have that little bit of flexibility to switch up their junglers if they need to. But right now, I still think that Wins is going to hold dearly to the Lee Sin pick just because of the early game raw strength and the ability to make plays.
Yeah, Evelyn is not banned out too, so we could see Lee Sin go to the top lane with the Evelyn in the jungle. But now let's focus on HQ's Fighters team composition. They have their mid laner and their top laner left to pick. Will we see a gangplank? Is Sarah here hovering over the gangplank? I highly doubt that will be the case.
For most of the other teams...
And I'm saying I highly doubt so that they lock it in, so that, you know, it's...
You mean the Caster's Curse?
Yeah, the Caster's Curse. Like, I highly doubt that will be the case. Tryndamere though.
Will we see the Tryndamere?
Picking Tryndamere blind into an opponent is quite scary, actually.
Yeah, that's right. But let's see what's the case here. They might just default back to Renekton here, and of course for...
Oh, goodness. Mr. Elvis on Yasuo is another highly banned champion on the side of AHQ Fighters. Teams in the Taiwanese region tend to ban Yasuo against the Fighters. LeBlanc is another good ban against them because Mr. Elvis is so extremely comfortable on those champions.
Right. And it looks like Elvis is going to default back to LeBlanc. And this is going to be the first time that we actually see the top laner for HQ Fighters play that Shyvana, bring that Shyvana into the Garena Premier League. Didn't play that champion at all, mostly because of bans or because of the fact that the opposing team always first picks that away. But right now it is going to be his debut Shyvana competitive play performance. And let's see what's the choice for Taipei Assassins here. Is this going to be a top lane Riven?
So they don't have a Jax. They could always send Lulu in the top lane, but Archie doesn't really play a whole bunch of Lulu. and they could pick for morning, but I think Azubu Taipei Assassins are now looking for a top laner, and let's just see what they do decide to lock in. Riven against a Shyvana matchup. Dr. Mundo, though.
It could work.
It could work.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then we are going back to probably a couple of weeks ago where when we have that Shyvana going up against that Mundo, that would be a hell lot more common. But right now in this current meta, we don't generally see that a lot more because a lot of teams are kind of straying away from having that tank in the team. But teams are still picking up Shyvana just because of the fact that you can play around with the fact that sometimes you are item deprived, and also for the fact that when you teleport into the team fights, you have a lot more mobility. But answering with a Mundo just as fine because you can use your ultimate to speed up and then to chase down onto target. So it's not too bad of a counter pick.
Yeah, that's right. So I believe we will be getting into games shortly here. But before that, we will take a look at the roster lineup for both AHQ Fighters and the Azubu Taipei Assassins.
唢呐过来，老鼠绕后，这时候 KJJ 也知道自己稍微危险了点，所以选择站桩，立刻跟阿迪来互相搏火。那么兰特是飞到后面把位置进一步的提出来。
要继续带子。
是的，哦，刚才这边勾出来，然后被翻，虽然是马上有。靠近也没有往左边行动，哇哈哈！ 打一样1C3，闪现的1C3，然后加上所有人撞上来，看起来是一个兰特连跳连砍收头节奏。
15000这个直接灌
的撞起硬杀。
Alright, so we are back to game now. We have a quick highlight reel for the fighters. So AHQ Fighters now starting the match here against Taipei Assassins on the blue side, and might see the 5-man stack into the 5-man invade here. Oh, here we go!
There we go, Dark Binding landing onto Jay. He will flash out of that one, and then he's just gonna walk away. So the follow-up chain CC there will not go. Actually, they only have one chain CC. Did Mr. Albis actually level up the Ethereal chains as well?
Yeah, I think that's the case here, but definitely a very close moment for Jay there. And if
I was definitely caught off guard for that one as well. Didn't expect them to just enter the brush like that. And Jay just got hit by the Dark Binding that was leading. Oh, he actually used the Distortion instead to close the gap onto that one.
Yeah, so kind of something that we have been predicting in the pregame itself. Like we are saying, AHQ Fighters, they will take the fight as soon as they see one. So that was exactly what happened there. And Ysera using the Dark Binding, creating some pressure. So the flash now is down for Jay. They might possibly use that in the laning phase to create some advantages. And what I really want to see for these two teams is in the first 3 minutes of the game. Will they be the ones to adapt to the 2v0 pushes, or will they sort of sit back a little bit and then go for the traditional laning that we are pretty much used to right before this couple of few weeks?
Yeah, let's take a look, because this delayed invade here from HQ Fighters will be spotted out by the Azubu Taipei Assassins. They have the Trinket Ward there, so they will be aware that Lantier is in their jungle taking away the red buff. Fighters though spot out the lane swap coming in, but RD going for that
Very
red buff
interesting.
start as well. So
Yeah, so I think this is a very clever adaptation from the fighters here because they sort of predict for the fact that Taipei Assassins...
Morning knows about this though. Ah, there we go. Some early game damage onto Morning using that red buff tick as well as that poison damage. Already hitting level 2 early, uses the Contaminate to pop a little bit more burst damage. So he will have that red buff and then he's just gonna walk towards the bottom lane and get that, you know, 1v1 against Archie.
I have to say that that was a very smart strategy from HQ Fighters there, because they know for a fact that Taipei Assassins want to go for the buff steals over here, so they go ahead to be the ones to take their own red buff. So Lantern will have his own double buff start, and already is going to start with the red buff, and then putting on aggression against Morning, bringing him low, and securing some objectives from Mr. Elvis here. So very sound strategy from HQ Fighters right from the start.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Mr. Albis, as you can kind of see on your screens, has been constantly harassing Morning in the mid lane. Morning has already been forced to burn through most of his potions, and now Lantier just goes about his merry way farming in his jungle. Ysera being sent to help out CCB in the top lane against the duo partner of BB as well as Jay. Jay has been sent back as well to, I believe, support Archie maybe. Let's see where he decides to go to. RD here just happily farming in the bottom lane. And not much action outside of that, you know, flash early game and that really good start. I mean, kind of talk me through what went well for HQ Fighters early, because Lantier went to get a red buff. Additionally, RD went to get a red buff as well and put some good damage onto Morning. How has HQ Fighter used this to their advantage?
Right, because Lantier was able to get his double buff start, so he should be somewhat a little bit ahead of experience. And for Taipei Assassins, one of their key core strength is in wins securing this early game advantages for the team. But right now he's only starting with that one buff, and that's gonna set him back in terms of goal, in terms of experience, and he's gonna need to stay in lane a little bit more and to just farm up back for himself. But I think so far Taipei Assassins has been responding very well to what HQ Fighters have sort of aced them with in the first minute or so. So let's see what's going to be the other kind of responses that come out for this one. But something that I really want to comment on is the fact that with the new meta, with the fact that there's a lot of 2v0s going on, supports are seen roaming a lot more in the map. That's why we did see Ysera up in the top lane. Now he's back into the bottom lane to put some pressure onto Archie, who has been just free farming by himself.
Yeah, not much jungle pressure being shown so far, so I did expect Lantier and Wins to kind of help out their mid laners respectively, Mr. Elvis and Morning. Actually, he's not Mr. Elvis anymore, he's just Elvis.
Elvis, yeah.
Yeah, so Dark Binding does not land there, so a huge minion wave, and Wins will respond to this accordingly to try to give some support to Archie here in the bottom lane as he tries to clear as many minions as possible. Not much damage being done on the turret so far. Bubble will not land onto CCB, and they don't get additional damage onto the Dragon Lady in the solo lane here at the top. Elvis against Morning though. So far we can see how much pressure Elvis has been putting on Morning, having that 6 CS lead, that one whole wave of minions ahead of Morning. So all in all, really quiet game so far. I expect some action to happen the moment Lantier or Wins decides to visit. And I think the lane that they would put a lot of focus on now, since these lanes are now, you know, in a 2v1 situation, is the mid lane.
Yep, that's right. And just to remind our viewers out that this is the 4.8 patch, because they are playing on the Carbon Tournament realm. So it is in the patch where the changes to Kha'Zix isn't in effect yet. So he does still have the execution potential from the Evolved Claws and the damage reduction from the Evolved Camouflage as well. So Lantier is going to be happy to play that for, you know, the last few days.
Ooh, Lantier actually gets hit by the Sonic Wave and the Cripple. No follow-up though from Morning. Lantier just goes back in, gets the last auto attack onto the Vision Ward. RG and Ysera doing a great job zoning out RG from most of the experience range there. Jay going with the recall, cancelling it, going to recall, cancelling it. Make up your mind, Jay. Okay, he goes for recall. Let's see if he cancels it last minute. No, he's just gonna go back, pick up a few items to help BB in the lane.
Yep, and for Mr. Elvis in the mid lane, he is doing very well for himself, because if you think back to the time when he was still playing on the AHQ main team, AHQ Esports Club, he was, you know, pretty much playing champions like Oriana and Lulu as well, the utility-based champions. But recently he has expanded his champion pool to play assassins such as LeBlanc, and with very good results as well.
Oh, they want to go in, but then the flank coming in from RG. Ysera gets taken down low, the heal is popped there. The bubble, whoa, first blood at the side. Morning uses the wild glow to get a little bit more healthier. RD pops the rat-a-tat-tat, but to no effect. CCB on the side, kills Jay, and they will have control over the blue buff now.
Overall, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Win still lurking around in the bottom lane, but HQ Fighters, they do take away the blue buff for themselves as we head into a replay to see what happened in that chaotic fight. So first off, we do have some action happening at the blue buff, but it was Morning actually chasing on to Mr. Elvis and using the wild growth to bring him down, and you know, there was no pressure at all. And Wins almost going down to the rat-a-tat-tat, but he's just gonna safeguard into safety. But in the back line, CCB with a very nice flank to take down Jay. So overall, a 1-for-1 trade.
1-for-1 trade, and HQ Fighter will pick up the blue buff. Additionally, BB managed to push out the turret. Nice dodge there by RD. Jay not landing that Aqua Prison, so they can't get, you know, some additional poke onto the rat in the bottom lane. HQ Fighters though, after that trade by BB in the top lane taking out the tier 1 turret, they respond with the bottom tier 1 turret of their own.
Yeah, I was about to say that Taipei Assassins was just being the Taipei Assassins that we're very used to seeing. Whenever they go for trades like this, they will often take one additional objective away from the opposing team, but you know, HQ Fighters just responding very well for themselves. So they do trade turret for turret as well, and 9 minutes into the game, these two teams are dead even. That's how close these two teams are in terms of their first 10 minutes at least, in terms of their strength and the mind games of reading out each other.
Yeah, teleport was used on both sides. Archie as well as CCB tried to get the flank in, and really prevented a lot of the damage coming in from RD because they were fearful of walking up that choke point, and they could not, you know, get that position advantage, could not kind of collapse together onto the main targets of both teams. So CCB now and Archie will meet for the first time in their respective solo lane, and it's just going to be a farm fest for quite some time. They don't have kill pressure onto each other, but CCB definitely has the ability to push the wave slightly ahead. Yep, in his favor.
A small nostalgia to a couple of months ago when we see a lot more Shyvana and Mundo plays. And right now we actually see Wins making an appearance, but a very quick read from Lantern. Actually, he goes aggressive, but he's just gonna back off from there.
Yeah, using the Evolve Active Camouflage as well, so that's gonna give him additional move speed and damage reduction.
Yep, that's right. And I think what both teams are trying to do here is to secure the advantage down the bottom lane and then subsequently transit into the first Dragon. Because if you look at it, 10 minutes, Dragon has not yet been even considered for either of the teams here. So what they really attempted to look for there was a kill down the bottom lane, or at least bringing them low so that they could go for it.
Ooh, some harass down onto the mid lane there. Morning gets the Sigil of Silence procced onto him, but Elvis will not be able to land the Ethereal Chain, so that's just gonna be that. So really quiet game so far, and whenever quiet games happen, in my mind I always think about which team has the better mid game and late game team comp. So Chris, Shyvana, LeBlanc, Twitch versus Dr. Mundo, Lulu. Oh, in the mid lane though, Wins gets completely destroyed there by the full combo of Mr. Elvis, and that's just this solo kill. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just dies there to Mr. Elvis.
Looks like not so quiet after all, isn't it?
No, not quiet at all anymore. Yep. HQ Fighters now with that kill in the mid lane, taking out the jungle. That just signals go time for the Dragon. No counter smite to kind of predict from Azubu Taipei Assassins. Langer can easily pick up this one with his jungling capabilities. Yep,
so that's going to be the first Dragon of the game going over to a HQ Fighter. So a little bit of misplay from Wins there because of the fact that he did go down.
Underestimated a lot of Elvis's damage.
Yeah, that's right. So because of that, they are able to finally pull the gold lead apart, and HQ Fighters are the one to be the first team to have a slight goal edge here. It is now 1.7k, but Taipei Assassins not something that they cannot come back from, but they have to be very careful because if they give over too many kills over to Elvis, then he is going to scale up very effectively.
12 minutes into the game, right?
Yep.
Wiz has yet to pick up a Sight Stone or a Spirit Stone item. This is actually quite worrying, especially if you're playing Lee Sin, because you will want the Sight Stone for some mobility as well as vision control, and you want the Spirit Stone to kind of help out in your jungle, but he has opted for the double longsword, and it kind of signals to me that Win wanted to go for some gank using those double longsword as the form of damage, but was not able to find any of that.
Yeah, I think it falls back to the fact that he was only given the blue buff to start with. And the other fact as well is that AHQ Fighter took away the
Jay gets caught out this time. Tidal Wave is forced to be used there, but Lantia just jumps away, and Ysera just pops the Black Shield. So Ultimate down on the side of Azubu Taipei Assassins. Will they go for the flank? Oh, Wiz gets caught out. Mr. Elvis goes in. There we go with the Wild Growth. The Aqua Prison will not land at all. Culling actually being body blocked there by the blue buff. Smite comes out. Wins gets the blue buff. Azubu Taipei Assassin had to expend so many ultimates just to defend that blue buff. Morning now, lower mana, had to burn a flash as well because, you know, rotating from that area, he got caught out by Mr. Elvis and just took a whole bunch of front-loaded damage.
Yeah, so this is a continuation of the chain disaster that I was going to tell you about, you know, but we might actually see the fight in the mid lane and Vince take some damage. Dark Mining lands onto Morning as well, and I think AHQ Fighters, they are just gonna push down onto the mid lane.
Yeah, I think maybe the action will kind of subside a little bit. But yes, you were talking about the chain reaction there. Oh, wow! Jay actually gets hit by a combo from Elvis. And, you know, LeBlanc, the way Elvis plays LeBlanc is just so scary. He will just appear out of nowhere and just try to instantly burst you down. And in the meantime, of course, RD was just happily farming the top lane, pushing that turret down, giving AHQ Fighter now a 2,000 gold lead against the Azubu Taipei Assassins.
Yeah, what I was about to say is that the reason why Wins doesn't have the Sight Stone as of yet is because that he was only allowed that one buff start. And right now he took away the blue buff from Morning just to secure it for himself. But that's going to cripple Morning in the mid lane, and it's going to leave him vulnerable against Albert here. So I think Taipei Assassins, they really need to slow down the game at this point of time to buy some breathing air for themselves and to re-establish what control over here. Because if you look at it carefully, you know, AHQ Fighters, they are the ones who just scatter their wards all over the map, whereas Taipei Assassins have been forced to take on a more defensive role. They have, if you just look at the area of the rings of vision around the map, AHQ Fighters will know exactly where all the Taipei Assassins members are.
Yeah, I have to kind of comment about the team playstyles now, because outside of wins, the original Azubu Taipei Assassin squad, including Dinter, they are generally more passive than regular League of Legends players, especially in the region. And HQ Fighters, on the other hand, are a team that, well, really symbolify their name very well. They love to fight, and they are constantly invading into the blue buff for the first 15 minutes of the game. Every time it is up. Oh, Ysera gets caught by the Aqua Prison. Will not be able to land the bubble though. CCB onto the sidelines. Ysera will be the first one to get taken down. A little bit overzealous there. CCB forced to use that Dragon's Descent to get away from this one. Then we get a kickback. Oh, fantastic. Already has flashed out of that one as well. Turns around, uses the Blade of Ruin King, but I don't think that's enough. We have BB on the sidelines with cleanup duty now. Gets one kill onto RD. Morty picks up the kill onto CCB. And there we have Archie in the front line just trying to body block as many people as possible. Mr. Elvis goes in, gets a little bit of damage onto BB. Unable to kill him though. 4-man stack in the mid lane. This mid lane turret is gonna go down.
That's right, fantastic answer from the Taipei Assassins. The moment that they caught Ysera off guard over there, they just went all in and punished AHQ Fighters for that. And I think for AHQ Fighters, just like you mentioned, they are a team that really likes to fight. But for them, they always take high risk. You know, it's a high risk, high reward. Let's take a look at the replay to see what happened around the brush area.
Ysera completely shouldn't have got into this one, so Chris, take me through.
Yep, so Ysera just got melted bomb by Wins over there, and Archie comes in with the teleport as well. CCB forced to pop the Dragon's Descent to try to run away, and look at this play over here. Wins with the kick in, and he followed up with kicking RD into the team here, and you know, he was just forced to pop both the heal and the flash, and after that it was just pretty much clean up duty for the rest of the Taipei Assassins.
Yeah, and they actually turned around here, CCB as well as RD, to face off against these 4 members. And Lancer and Mr. Elvis decides to walk back in as well, and it kind of really puzzles me why they decided to do that. And, you know, giving Azubu's Taipei Assassins an inch, they will take an arm away from you, because yes, HQ fighters really love to fight all the time, but Azubu's Taipei Assassins are the veterans in terms of the team fight, and they just kind of show that, hey, we understand how to team fight better than you do. We don't pick the lousy fights that we will not win. We only pick the fights that we know we will come out ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about as well. But hold on, in the mid lane, Morning just whiffed past with the chain as well. So what Taipei Assassins really need to do is to sort of play on this high-risk, high-reward playstyle that HQ fighters like to go for. So if they can catch them out and catch them out on their mistakes, then definitely they can come out on top as they have this dragon attack over here.
Oh wow, Lance actually goes out from the back there. Oh, gets the smite ahead of Wins. Wins has to kick Lance away. Now a fight breaks out. CCB actually knocks Jay back. Will Jay die to the poison takes? Let's find out. It doesn't seem like that's the case. He's still surviving ever so shortly. RG will go down to Archie now. CCB in a whole bunch of trouble, gets taken out by BB at the same time. 2 kills go to TPA, but HQ fighters managed to get the dragon.
It was a opportunistic play from BB over here.
Oh wow, Morning gets completely eaten up here by Albus in his full burst combo, so 1 kill getting taken back here by HQ fighters.
Yeah, hope we actually get to see a replay of what happened down in the Dragon Pit actually, because if you look at it, are we gonna okay, we are gonna get the replay actually of what happened in Dragon Pit. So Taipei Assassins were the ones to start things off. HQ wanted to contest for that, and actually it was Lantio from the back end using that isolation damage, got the smite down, and Taipei Assassins wanted to bring the fight, and now HQ fighters, everyone is so low. CCB wanted to zone everyone out, but he just takes a whole chunk of damage in return, and now with nobody protecting RD, he was way too forward, and there was just time for BB to collapse onto him.
Look at that burst combo.
Exactly, and RD was just meant to go down in that one, and they turned the fight around. CCB goes down as well, and it was Taipei Assassin's fight to take.
Yeah, I also thought we were going to see the Morning kill there, but never mind. Let's move on to live now. 20 minutes into this game, Azubu Taipei Assassins still behind in gold. HQ fighters have that 1,500 gold advantage, so they are still not out of it just yet. They do need to watch because RD kind of costed them that second fight, and Ysera was the one who was just a little bit out of position in that first fight they lost as well.
Yep, that's right. And at least for Taipei Assassins, if they can just manage to keep this gold lead within this range of about 1,000 to 2,000 gold, it doesn't matter if they are behind for the next 10 minutes or so, because
oh, Archie just gets caught out by the Dark Binding though, but Lantia and Ysera will have to back off from this red buff because they shouldn't be standing there. Or Archie just being the man defense now. Red buff has no idea where he wants to go. Let's see if BB or Wins will be able to land that smite or even that last auto attack to pick the red buff up. They have a ward there, will get the timer onto the red buff though. Ardent Blaze being used, smite being used as well by Wins. Lantia really wanted to run interference there to pick that one up. HQ Fighters quite lucky to not get collapsed here by Azubu Taipei Assassins because the chasing potential from the Glitter Lance and the Infected Cleaver or Infected Briefcase in this case is extremely high because Azubu Taipei Assassins can just follow up. Lee Sin lands that Sonic Wave, goes with the Tempest Cripple combination, and everyone is just slowed down.
Yep, and Taipei Assassins have been making a very good attempt at recovery here. Wins is slowly picking himself back up. And what I really like as well is that Taipei Assassins has been overall sticking together more as a team so that the picks don't happen.
Oh, sneaky, sneaky.
Sneaky from RD though. Is he gonna find the kill onto Morning? Let's
does actually land the no, does not use the active here. So Morning actually playing very defensively, predicting whenever RD might pop out. So RD unable to get those submarine assassinations here this game.
Yeah, but something that we have to look at as well is if you look at the mid lane CS discrepancy, Mr. Elvis is 174 CS up against Morning. So that's the amount of aggression that Elvis has laid down to Morning and how pressured Morning must feel to try to CS in that lane without the fear of getting assassinated, without the fear of getting one-shotted. And I think overall for Taipei Assassins, their recovery is, you know, very slow and steady, but if AHQ Fighters can just step on the acceleration pedal, go all in and find one group team fight, then they could just open up the map for themselves.
Well, let's take a look at what Azubu Taipei Assassins will be doing now. 4-man stack here in the mid lane, uses a sweeper to take out that side ward. They're just gonna walk away, clear up some vision, grant some vision to themselves. Lantier trying to decide they want to go for a flank here. BB uses the culling, but oh, actually, Ysera takes a whole bunch of damage from that one. Will be forced to back off, and they're gonna pressure down this mid lane turret. Aqua Prison will not land either. HQ Fighters here now for the first time, I believe, on the defensive because Azubu Taipei Assassins are the ones asserting their authority, trying to push down this tier 2 mid lane turret.
You see CCB making his way down into the mid lane. Both teleports for the top laners are out, but it looks like CCB might want to just, you know, just want to save on that, but he is returning up to the top lane after seeing the fact that there's not a huge kill potential so far in this mid lane.
Not much action happening so far. Let's kind of take a look at the items now that we have a chance to talk about it. So, core items being picked up here on the side of AHQ Fighters, but we do see BB actually falling behind slightly because he has opted for the Trinity Force build on Lucian, whereas RD, despite being kills as well as creep score down, has already completed the Phantom Dancer and the Blade of Ruin King.
Yep, and we did see Archie just teleport up into the top lane to defend that wave against CCB, and CCB still has his teleport, so it might be goal time for AHQ Fighter to contest for something for the mid lane turret or even just the Dragon, who is going to be coming back up in about 15 seconds or so. Archie is making his way back into the base now so that he can come back down to this Dragon area if he needs to show his face, make his presence felt, and to assist in the team fight.
Yeah, he will be making his jolly way actually, undecided now, going to the top lane to prevent some of the push from CCB. Everyone from the Azubu Taipei Assassins have recalled. HQ Fighters do not know about this. They are pinging onto Dragon, and this is actually quite a safe time for them to go for Dragon. Only BB is in the vicinity. Lantier leashes out the Dragon, gets the isolation damage now onto the creep itself. Using the Ardent Blaze there to check a little bit, but this is most definitely Dragon going to HQ Fighters there, extending their goal lead once more to almost 2,000 gold now.
Yeah, that's right, and I was about to say that Taipei Assassins was slowly coming back into that because before the Dragon, it was only 600 goals separating these two teams, but with that one rotation from HQ Fighters to the Dragon Pit, they have now opened up the goal lead again. But let's see what Taipei Assassins actually trying to find the catch, but no, they decide to back off. So the one danger that lurks with this composition for HQ Fighters is that, yes, they do have a lot of diving potential, yes, they can go for the backlines very easily, but look at the amount of protection that Taipei Assassins have. From Lulu, from the Tidal Wave, and even from the Aqua Prison as well, it's very easy for the Taipei Assassins to disengage from any form of aggression that the fighters would want to bring to them. So the fighters have to be very careful on how they want to approach them. They might even have to go for flanks and to go for very cheeky jungle catches as well. But so far, Taipei Assassins, they're not too flustered with this goal deficit that they are facing. They're just playing very defensively, and I think that makes the mark of a veteran team in the GPL to slowly come back from this goal deficits.
Yeah, BB has finally picked up his Trinity Force as well, so that's going to be a huge power spike for himself. In addition to that, Spirit Visage completed for Archie. That's going to just increase his sadism so much more.
Yeah. And, you know, for RD himself, he has completed the Blade of Ruin King and the Phantom Dancer. I think he should be going for the Last Whisper next. And when Twitch players go for this build, generally what they want to do is to find picks. But so far, he hasn't been able to do so. Instead, he has been caught out in bad positions, just being too forward and getting punished for that 0-2 tree on him so far. And lacking in CS as well against BB.
Very uncharacteristic of RD actually, because I remember in the Taiwan promotional tournaments, he was a player who actually suffered in lane from bad positioning, but performed exceptionally well, especially on Twitch in the team fights. He always gets the opportune moments to pop out of the ambush, use the rat-a-tat-tat, deal a whole bunch of burst damage, be in the front of the team, and yet still survive because of the insane amount of burst damage he can put out as a Twitch.
Yeah, and I think that what HQ Fighters really need to do now is to find some way to make Taipei Assassins separated and not even go for the team fight because their composition works very, very well in picking people off and to assassinate people one by one.
Ooh. BB there nearly getting caught out, uses the Relentless Pursuit to get away from the Ethereal Chains. Now, it's going to be a 5-man stack from Azubu Taipei Assassins. They want to grant themselves vision control over the Baron Pit area. Jay having already upgraded the Oracle Lens now. HQ Fighters, I just realized, have yet to take down the mid lane tier 1 turret, so they are down 1 turret, yet up about 1.5 thousand gold.
Yep, it's mainly because of the dragons that they have taken for themselves, and that is the glaring problem actually for HQ Fighters, because they do not have the mid lane first tier turret down, which means that they cannot open up the map and to extend their ward line. And Taipei Assassins are making full use of that to punish the fighters for this.
That's right. Oh wow, this turret is going down extremely low. BB actually takes a few turret shots to the face, goes in one more auto attack, or a few more auto attacks should take down this tier 2 turret in the mid lane for Azubu Taipei Assassins. Very strong objective control, knowing when to go for these objectives. They easily go in, pick that one up, and now will once again try to transition and get some vision onto the Baron side area.
Yeah, that is Taipei Assassins just playing their composition very effectively here. And they are just making their return into the mid lane to make sure that the defense can come into place. Already now sneaky, getting invisible, trying to scout someone to go for the pick on, but Taipei Assassins just giving them no chance at all to try to snipe anyone off to make the pick composition happen. And that is the flank that we're kind of talking about. If CCB can find one good flank in, that might be the team fight that HQ Fighter needs to try to regain their dominance.
He's going in. Is he going in? Yes, he does. Uses the burnout now to end the Dragon's Descent. Tidal Wave being used for the disengage. RG just stands in the front line, gets hit by that one, takes a whole bunch of damage in return though, but no kills just yet. HQ Fighters have to back up now. Azubu Taipei Assassins goes in, flash, Glitterlance combo. Yes, Sarah, you actually flashed the sideways to dodge out that piercing light. That was some insane movement there from both teams.
There is a very high caliber team fight from both teams, and yeah, just like you mentioned, a lot of back and forth, a lot of dodges of the skill shot. And, for Taipei Assassins, that's the danger that we're talking about for the fighters. We saw for a fact that they went for the flank, but they just blew all their resources, not getting any kills at all. And now Taipei Assassins with all their kills up their sleeves, and with Archie being so tanky as well, this should be Baron for them.
Yeah, that's right. This Baron is going down extremely low. No steal coming out from Mr. Albis. Uses the double steal to get away. BB used a whole bunch of damage.
Whoa!
Wow, he lands that resonating strike combo. Allows BB to catch up. Picks up the kill on Albis. Azubu Taipei Assassins now have the Baron buff and a one-man advantage.
Not only that, they finally grab a solid goal advantage for themselves. And Taipei Assassins, just being the veteran team, knowing when to exert map pressure, they easily take out the Baron buff, knowing for a fact that HQ was just not in any position at all to respond, takes out the Baron, takes out the gold advantage, and now opening up the map for themselves. So the pressure is now on for the fighters.
In that Baron attempt, what happened there was actually Azubu Taipei Assassins were the ones to get engaged on by the HQ Fighters. They disengaged properly using the Tidal Wave, and then expended a lot of their ultimates to deal damage onto the fighters' team, causing them to go low. Azubu Taipei Assassins recognize the fact that, hey, every one of fighters is now low, and we are still rather healthy. We may not have ultimates, but they don't have theirs either. So let's go for Baron. They cannot respond in time, and they won't have the kill potential to actually get us down.
Yep. And speaking about kill potentials as well, the reason why the flanks from CCB has not been working out very effectively is mainly because of his build. Because if you look at him, he is very tanky. Yes, for sure, he can stick around team fights for a long while, but he has no kill threat at all. That's why BB can just dash in and out of the fight. The backlines can feel very safe, just even with him diving into the backlines as well. And the most threatening person on the side of HQ Fighter is going to be Mr. Albis. He has a 70 CS advantage over Morning, but yet he has been unable to kill anyone, snipe anyone off site, doesn't have any form of insta-give items in the form of Deathfire Grass as well. So HQ Fighters, they really need to consider how they pick the team fights. If not, the ticking time bomb is just gonna explode on them, and Taipei Assassins is gonna grab themselves the victory over them.
I know Azubu Taipei Assassins have been playing an exceptional game using Archie as that wall of defense that HQ fighters cannot even break through. Every time all Archie has to do is stand in front, chuck a few of those infected briefcases down the lane, and just prevent a lot of that engage potential or collapse potential from HQ fighters. CCB went for the flank, Lantier couldn't follow up, Albis couldn't follow up, RD definitely couldn't put himself in between Archie and the rest of the team, and it was just how Azubu Taipei Assassins had been kiting back and forth, Archie just being the one standing in front and just soaking up a whole bunch of damage for the team and preventing fighters from actually getting in with their engage. They have a very strong team comp, the fighters, but they have been unsuccessful in using it so far.
Yep, and Taipei Assassins unfazed by the damage threat, and BB just going ham on this one with the calling kill.
Archie's the big boss now. He's just standing there tanking the turret shots. This is crazy.
Oh man, and look at the skill shots just taking his Sarah down to about quarter of his HP. He has to back off from that one, and BB with the Trinity Force and the Last Whisper as well as the Bloodthirster is going to be able to siege up the turret very, very quickly.
Now they have the Baron buff, Azubu Taipei Assassins, they do. And HQ fighters, all they can do now is just defend for as long as possible. They have a huge wave in the top though that's pushing in. That's going to give some good turret damage onto the tier 2 turret. Archie has the health picks as well as that regeneration from the Baron buff and his own innate regeneration to just tank up and soak up so many turret shots.
Right.
He's not taking any damage at all.
HQ fighters need to hold this off. The Baron buff is running out on Taipei Assassins. And this might just be goal time for Taipei Assassins. They really need to step on the acceleration pedal. And Baron buff has now ran off.
Yeah.
And let's see if they are going to be able to continue on to this siege against the fighters.
Nearly getting caught out there with the Dark Binding. As I predicted, that huge wave in the top will allow HQ fighters to take the top tier 2 turret down. So a small win for them for being able to delay Azubu Taipei Assassins. Baron buff is now gone, so if HQ fighters choose to engage now, they can.
Yeah, but are they going to choose to go for it?
Oh, there we go. Wow. I thought Mr. Elvis decides to go in for the insta-give there. BB nearly got taken down.
Yeah, but so far, Taipei Assassins, they don't feel confident enough. They are going back. They need to respond to the top lane inhibitor turret. And this might be goal time for AHQ fighters. They are chasing down. They're trying to find the picks happen, but they need to be very careful in order not to fall into the traps of Taipei Assassins. But so far, it's a good play for them, successfully defending the bottom lane inhibitor, and I think that is what is most important now. 34 minutes in, it is almost paramount for you to not get any of those inhibitors down, because you don't have a whole bunch of waves at the end. Sure, you can use the distortion and the ultimate distortion from Albis to try to clear out the wave, but that's about it. If you have to make RD pop his rat-a-tat-tat just to clear out the super minion and the cannon minion waves, then Taipei Assassins will be sure to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I'd also like to point out, you know, that Azubu Taipei Assassins' next focus will either be the Baron that's spawning in 1 minute, or they go for that damage that they've already dealt on that inhibitor turret. Because if they do not, if they decide to go for Baron and not do anything after that, all that damage, all the time spent there, they spent so long that BB used the culling twice while they tried to take down that inhibitor turret. So my point is that if they go for Baron, they get Baron, and they do not go for that bottom inhibitor turret, they waste that very first Baron buff worth of damage. Because the inhibitor turret will naturally regen back all their health. And all in all, that whole time that they spent down there was just wasted time. Azubu Taipei Assassins now just kind of posturing, dancing around near the Baron pit. They know the timing, both teams know the timing for the Baron buff. They need to get ready. And in terms of items right now, it does seem that Azubu Taipei Assassins and HQ fighters are just about dead even in terms of items.
Yep, and
Zhonya's Hourglass has already been picked up here by Ysera. No Mikhail's Crucible though.
I think that is just generally his playstyle. Archie gets caught a little bit here, but he's
not gonna be worried.
Yeah, he is just so tanky now. He has that Rendered's Omen as well as the Spirit Research as well as that Sunfire Cape. He's gonna be one hell of a champion to try to burn through as Taipei Assassins set out for this Baron bait here.
No vision now onto Azubu Taipei Assassins there.
Very dangerous.
Oh, wow,
Sarah.
they wanted to go for Ysera. Ysera takes a whole bunch of damage. He's going to use the Zhonya's though, and the Soul Strike goes down. The counter initiate comes in. Wind flies in, gets the wild growth onto him. CCB with the Dragon's Descent in the front of fight, but no continuation though. Elvis actually gets stunned and turns into a little munchkin now. And there we get the assassination from Elvis on the side. CCB now gets chased out. He will have to run away using the burnout. Those cleavers hitting him from the backside. Gets the flash. And the Randomist Omen, BB will pick that kill up. It's going to be a 1-for-2 exchange in favor of Azubu Taipei Assassins. Elvis on the sidelines. He wants to make the flank. Can he get the flank? Azubu Taipei Assassins are just going to back off from this one. Small win for TPA, but can HQ capitalize and try to go for a sneaky Baron play?
I don't think that's what is on their mind right now, but we are going to actually have a replay to see how this whole chain of events started right from where Ysera was kind of caught out at the Baron Pit area. Right, so Ysera was just caught way out of position there, and Wind just goes in for the dive. The Zhonya is going to keep alive for a couple of seconds longer, but that's not going to matter. Elvis tries to find the assassination. Wind goes deep into the front lines, but will just be rescued with the wild growth over here. CCB dives into the background, but has no damage whatsoever to try to bring down the members, and Elvis just right from the side will get spotted out by the ward, but he eventually comes back to get the assassination onto Winter, which will be right about now, as he just distorts attack and gets the kill.
Wanted to go in on the morning as well, but didn't have the cooldowns for the rotation. CCB now will run away, and then we see the chase coming from Archie as well. So Baron is still alive. In that time, Azubu Taipei Assassins did manage to pick up the Dragon, extending their gold lead now to about 4,000 gold. And 38 minutes into the game, this is still anyone's game. Look at all the items being picked up by both sides. Mundo now has become an extremely disgusting tank. Has the Torn Mail, Sunfire Kit, Spirit Visage, and the Random's Omen. He's not going to get taken out anytime soon, and this is going to be one of the biggest worry for HQ fighters, because Archie has just become that offensive linesman, and he's just protecting the offensive lineup of Azubu Taipei Assassins, not allowing HQ fighters to get in onto TPA at all. Ooh, aggressive play there by BB and Mr. Elvis. Really wanted to take down the Vision Ward, but BB, with that relentless pursuit and auto attacks, actually manages to chase Elvis away.
Yep, and you know, we have seen for a couple of times now that Ysera was just kind of caught out trying to deward or trying to regain vision control, and Taipei Assassins are very smart to exploit onto that to punish HQ fighters and to force the fight to happen whenever that happens. And I think I was watching some of this matches from the Taiwan promotional matches, and Ysera now getting caught out once again, and look at the amount of damage from the culling!
You're not gonna survive. Oh, he actually flashes away from that one, but wins there with that style points, using the Dragon's Rage kick to destroy his face.
Yeah, and like
this is Ysera's biggest weakness. We talked about it before the broadcast started, and we said that Ysera always does very weird things in team fights. He gets called out multiple times. Whenever he plays Nami, he somehow always misses his tidal wave. Whenever he plays Sona, he always misses Crescendo. And now CCB at the back lines, he's gonna get chased by both Wins and BB. Rando is Omen being popped left and right here. He's not gonna get away. Uses the Dragon's Descent, and Wins was not able to follow up from that one. And Jay?
What is Jay doing?
CCB actually manages to get away from that one.
Yeah, but it's a very close call though. He has to teleport even to the mid lane just to make sure that he can get back into position. But with the main tank down, this is Taipei Assassins go ahead to try to take out the Baron. But the Baron steal is very possible though from Lantier, so it's going to be up to the zone control from Taipei Assassins to prevent that from happening. But so far, they're doing very well on that.
Yeah, they are going to go back onto HQ fighters. Every time Lantier shows his face, he will go in. Wow! They want to get in for the Baron steal. Lantier takes a lot of damage. Baron's not low enough just for the steal. Artie just gets completely destroyed. BB is now unstoppable. Lantier is forced to back up from this one. And Azubu Taipei Assassins, after taking out RG, actually did not even drop the aggro from Baron. Easily picks that one up after that. So Archie now chasing after Lantier, forces the flash out of him. Ysera will get caught out. Oh no, uses the black shield this time. Will he get hit by the briefcase? That's not the case either. but Albis now will be forced to recall, and then Azubu Taipei Assassins just has a positional advantage in the mid lane ahead of the HQ fighter.
Yeah, and I want to rewind back to what happened down at the Baron Pit. And, you know, very solid shot calling from TPA over there, because the moment that they saw Lenter go into stealth, they knew that he wanted to go for a steal, but they didn't let that happen. Whoa!
Forced above the Zhonya's once again to no effect. He's going to go down to BB this time. Archie, the front line, just taking so much damage. BB gets a double kill. Will he be able to get a triple? Yes, he does. Does he get a quadra? Oh my goodness! Win should get the last auto attack, gets the ace, and this is game for the Azubu Taipei Assassins.
First Nexus turret goes down. Second one is sure to follow. Looks like the new kids on the block is able to defloat the channels. Sorry, not the channels. The champions as of now. And Taipei Assassins looks to close out the game. Gets one more sweet kill to seal the deal as well, as they close out the game for tonight.
Yeah, that's right. So the game number 2 of the night, week 1, day 1, will go to the Azubu Taipei Assassins, and they, after this one win, they should be looking for oh goodness. Azubu Taipei Assassins are looking to go for that 10-0 win streak that they saw in the spring split of the GPL.
That's right, and it's a very solid opener for them as well, because HQ Fighter has been regarded as a fierce competitor in